Every single day, somewhere between the factories of China and the battlefields of Ukraine, a quiet transaction takes place. No headlines, no press conferences, no official acknowledgement, just components, microchips, drone parts, and a chemical compound most people have never heard of that is directly responsible for keeping Russian artillery firing. China says it is neutral in the war in Ukraine. But tonight, we look at the data, the supply chains, and the strategic logic behind what is actually happening. Can you be neutral when 90% of your military machine tools are going to one side of a war? I am your host. This is the Daily Latitude, where we follow the evidence, not the official statements. Stay with me. Welcome back to the Daily Latitude. Today's episode is different. We are not just reporting what happened, we are analyzing the data and mapping the connections. Today's subject, China's quiet support for Russia's war machine. We'll cover what they supply, how they maintain neutrality, and the long-term strategic logic. Let's start with the facts. Category 1, microelectronics and semiconductors. Russia's ability to produce precision missiles depends on these. Western sanctions cut off traditional supplies. China stepped in. These components now flow into factories at scale, hitting Ukrainian cities. Category 2, drone technology. China supplies the vast majority of FPV drone components, cameras, motors, and transmission parts. China supplies both sides, but analysts confirm Russia gets priority access in the supply queue. Russia is always first. Category 3, machine tools. Russia's weapons infrastructure runs on CNC machine tools that shape artillery and missile parts. The Jamestown Foundation estimates that approximately 90% of Russia's machine tool imports now come from China. 90%. Category 4, nitrocellulose. This is operationally critical. It serves as the propellant for artillery shells and missiles. Without it, guns don't fire. China, specifically through Norinco Group, has reportedly stepped in to fill the gap left by sanctioned supply chains. Now, how does China maintain this fiction of neutrality? It is a sophisticated, deliberate strategy of strategic ambiguity, the dual-use defense. China's position is that these are commercial products, nitrocellulose for paint, machine tools for industry. It is deliberate, the shell company architecture. Transaction chains are obscured through networks of foreign intermediaries, so no single sale appears military. When sanctions hit Central Asian exporters, China began ramping up its own cotton pulp exports. Block one route, China opens another. Now we reach the most important question, not what China is doing, but why. Understanding the logic tells us what comes next. For Chinese firms, this is profitable. Russian demand has exploded. They provide industrial goods. Russia provides cheap oil and gas. For the state, the calculus is sophisticated. Beijing does not want Russia to lose. A weak Russia removes a counterweight to American power. But China also doesn't want Russia to win too independently. They want a Russia that survives only because of Chinese support. So what does this mean for the West? First, the sanctions dilemma. Secondary sanctions risk a major escalation in US-China relations. Second, Russia's long-term dependency. The more Russia depends on China, the more leverage Beijing accumulates over Moscow. Third, the precedent for Taiwan. China is demonstrating how to support a conflict without formally entering it. Ukraine is a laboratory. Here is the bottom line. China is not a neutral party. Beijing has constructed an architecture of plausible deniability to support Russia's military. The logic is rational. A dependent Russia serves China's interests. The question for the West is not if China is helping, but what are you prepared to do? Subscribe for no spin, just analysis. Tell me in the comments, do you think the West is doing enough? I'm your host. See you next time.